Vamos, I know that you want it. It's VGC the Video Game Podcast, episode 166, with me, Jordan Midler, Chris Scullion, Andy Robinson, and Alex Donaldson. This week, Chris Scullion will eat 10 Easter eggs before the end of the show. But first, how's it going, folks? Alex, unemployment going well?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those. I'm more busy than I'd like to be, as I'm sure.
He's going to be a full, mid-stage mini boss by the time we get to the end of May.
Yeah, it's half term this week, right? So it's a full house here. It's a loud house, and I'm busy beavering away on new stuff, and I'm doing bits and bobs for RPG site. Maybe be doing some stuff for you boys. But I'm fine. I
don't think so. I think that's going to fall through. Right?
I've just been. I was saying before we came on, I've done a sports injury, and my right shoulder is a nightmare, and I can't lift my arm above a 45-degree angle at the minute without it being excruciatingly painful. The doctors have banned me from driving. They were like, "Don't drive because it'll be too painful."
What's the likelihood of you getting cancelled? Yeah, well, you beat me to it. Do you think it's a wee trapped nerve, or what do you think's going on?
They said it's like a knot or something, and they were like, "You just need to roll your shoulders lots, and it will go away." But they were like, "If you push through the pain barrier, it will just lock up, and then you'll."
This really is the old man pod, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm fighting fit. I can do this. I can do star jumps.
Do that. For the audio listeners, John's doing sitting star jumps.
John is raising his arms
in triumph.
Too much for me to ask.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the old man pod, Chris Scullion, how you doing? How's this Easter? How's this Good Friday treating you? Is it a Good Friday in the Kingdom of Scullion?
It's a Friday and it's good. It's not too bad. Much like Alex, I've got the kids at home, and that she's like in the kitchen just now. I'm just praying she doesn't go wild at any point, because that'll be entertaining for everyone but me. But yeah, looking forward to a wee Easter break. I'm looking forward to people no longer. You get these people that kind of nowadays roam the supermarkets for Easter eggs that don't say Easter on them, so they can go mental on social media and go, "They're taking my religion away."
Yeah.
So remember that parable when Jesus says, "See if you put a crunchy in an egg."
I thought you were going to say the true spirit of Easter, which is going to the supermarket on the Monday and trying to buy as much discount chocolate as humanly possible, which is something I do every year.
It's amazing. But yeah, no, it does make me laugh. I get to an extent the Christmas one, when people go, "Oh, you're taking Christmas away," but even then, it's that's daft.
That's just because you're
to complain about Easter eggs not saying Easter on them and just saying milk chocolate egg. It's like I've read my Bible, and the Easter bunny doesn't appear in Corinthians 12.
Have you actually read the Bible?
Bits and pieces.
Yeah, just the highlights.
Good bits.
Yeah.
Aye.
Speaking of good Christian boys, Andy Robinson, how you doing?
I'm trying to think what the good Christian greeting would be.
Ohio.
Ohio gozaimasu.
Jesus des.
That game is out this week.
I am Jesus.
The Jesus game.
I am Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Chris made a banger in the Slack. He said, "What did he say?"
Yeah, well, why not share it?
At least, no, but I was talking about the one where you said, "Well, at least we know it's got a new game plus."
Yeah. Good. According to www.one.renfrewshire.gov, today's actually an in-service day, and then we're off for about 3 weeks, so don't expect any podcasts or any content on the site until then. Are you lot doing anything with your young ones over the Easter breaks? Andy, you're clearing off. Where are you off to? Are you sharing where you're off to, or?
Well, I don't usually tell people where I'm going.
Roughly.
Or that my house is going to be unattended.
Well, I didn't say that. Because I'm going to be there. You rock up halfway through your holiday because it's been cancelled for some reason. I'm just sitting in your game room. Like, hello. I don't know what any of this stuff is. Looking at your Star Fox posters. Like,
I'm gonna take the kids for end of season skiing to teach them to ski because they've never been skiing. My friend's just come back, and I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. Like in terms of like what he planned and stuff. It's my 40th year this year. I thought, screw it. let's go and do something we'll remember. We did an hour at the Snow Dome, a snow centre in Hemel Hempstead a couple of days ago, just so they know how to like put skis on and stuff. But I went snowboarding like about 15 years ago. So I'm like, don't really want to learn to ski because skiing is for like noobs.
It's less cool than snowboard.
It is the old age pensioner sport of the two. So if I can still, and it was painful as well. Like learning to snowboard is falling on your ass for 3 straight days before you can actually, move about for a little bit. So if I could, I wanted to find out that if there's any semblance of that there, I didn't want to give it up. So I booked an hour for myself just to go and see if I could still snowboard. And I was pleasantly surprised that it's, and people told me this as well, like, the cliche riding a bike and stuff. But after, I fell on my ass immediately. And then after that, you're like, oh, okay, I've still got the muscle memory. You can still do turns and go down. So I'm going to stick with that. But I had an instructor. She was 16. I've never felt more old in my life, right? And I had an hour lesson. And I ended it 15 minutes early as well. I was like, you know what? I think that's enough for me. I've come here to find out whether I can still like move. We have confirmed that.
No.
But I was in so much pain just for 45 minutes of going up. And it's not even snowboarding's fine, right? It's all these muscles that you don't activate if you're just sat at a desk all day. Like
it's full body workout.
I do a lot of walking, but I don't do a lot of physical exercise beyond walking. Yeah. And it's stuff like putting the board on, and taking the board off and going up these. They had like on these trainer slopes, they have like basically what I can only describe as like a little escalator.
Yeah, the lifts. Yeah.
And my instructor was like, "Oh, I gotta, I just take 1 foot out of the binding, keep 1 foot in the snowboard. That's what I do. It's lazy." And it's like, but that was the most painful thing by far. Like standing on this very slow escalator, going up a slope with all of your body weight on one leg. Like that was like full gym training. I had a burger and a pint.
Yeah, I got sent
just to offset the exercise.
That was like my Streets of Rage, like cooked chicken.
Yeah. He made the noise of as you, yeah. It is a full body workout though. One of my mates used to snowboard all the time, and he was one of those guys. He never went to the gym, very nerdy bloke otherwise, but he would snowboard a lot, and he was built. Like we made a joke once when we were on a holiday and he came out of the sea and he looked like when Daniel Craig comes out of the sea in Casino Royale. And the funny thing is he stopped snowboarding.
I look like
now.
when Big John comes out of the sea.
He stopped snowboarding now and he's not fat, but he's got one of the biggest derbies of the group. Like we were playing beer pong and he's famous for hitting the cups with his belly when we play beer pong these days. That's what happened when he stopped snowboarding.
But I tell you what's really irritating though is like my missus and the kids just immediately picked up skiing, like they're moving stuff. Like I mean they say that. I mean I've never skied. They say that skiing is easier to pick up and more difficult to master, and then it's the other way around, right? But yeah, it was quite irritating that they're just immediately moving around and stopping.
Despite my my general laziness, I'm quite sporty. Like we play paddle.
Quite the snowboarder.
I've never done any of that. Never done any of the frozen sports, but we've started doing paddle every Sunday, and your ankles are absolutely wrecked after it because it's so much like stopping short and moving side to side. Like I used to play tennis when I was younger, but it's so much worse because it's in these like short, like small rock hard pitches. Last night after football, I ordered a spicy chicken calzone and chips and cheese, and I felt fantastic afterwards. It was really the peak. It was one of those bits of spicy chicken that were so red. It's like, is this even chicken? This could be any kind of mystery meat.
Or is it cooked?
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. It was spicy. It was calzone, and it was the very best. Shout out to
I love an
City.
unconventional calzone. Like there's a company that does like those meal boxes where they send them to you.
Yeah.
And we're subscribed to that, and they do calzones, and so we get 4 calzones every 6-8 weeks or something, and they always do seasonal ones, and they did a Christmas dinner calzone, and it was it had turkey in it, it had pigs in blankets in it, came with a gravy to dip in, it had cranberry in it, all that. It was. I
know the company you're talking about. They did like the Godfather one for a while.
They did.
Yeah, they're good. They're very good.
I have to say, sporting, it's even stuff that you think looks like a lazy sport. Like, I
Darts.
bowl quite a lot. Not so much darts, but I temping bowl quite a lot. And although you do get a lot of fat old geezers temping bowling, if you've got your Fitbit on and stuff while you're bowling, if you're using proper gear, because when you go up to Hollywood Bowl or whatever and you're chucking an 8-10 pound down there, it don't really make a difference. But if you're playing properly, you're using a 14, 15, maybe 16 pound ball. There's technique, there's a proper approach, and you'll burn 400 or 500 calories in 2 games.
My problem with bowling is that I love bowling, but I have an irregularly shaped thumb. So like after one game, like it's
humped.
Painful.
That's why I'll
smashing people in the face.
Just plummets.
I saw you out, mate. You need to come down. We'll take you to the pro shop. They measure you up. They drill the ball exactly for your hand. It's beautiful.
Get a special ball with a hole screwed into it, like a
banana ball.
Copulation.
Right. The tech is on this level now. They do a thing now. I've only just restarted bowling. I used to bowl when I was like in my teens, and then I picked it back up in my 30s. And now they've got for the thumbs like a modular system where if you want a very because your thumb is this is so niche. Your thumb is the digit that like swells most with heat and stuff like that, so it changes the most. And so now rather than have one hole drilled in a ball, you do have one hole drilled in the ball, but you've got like a sheath that plugs into the ball. So if you find your thumb is swelling up a bit, you take the one out and you put a different one in. Or if you're using different balls for different tasks, which is quite normal, you're taking your thumb sheath out and putting it into so all the balls feel the same. It's crazy.
The problem is more that, and I apologise for getting really into thumb physics here. The problem is my thumb isn't straight because I was born with 2 thumbs in one hand. So like when they removed one, I was like, so. Bowling is fine, but it's like putting in like a hooked thing into a straight hole. So every time I'm throwing the ball, it's literally yanking it out of the hole.
Some people I know bowl without a thumb. Some people just have the fingers in, and then their ball is but only drilled with 2 holes.
Oh, Johnny No Thumb. Speaking of balls and holes, you can get your tickets to VGC Live on the website. Go and get them right now. Guest announcements coming soon. Merchandise announcements coming soon. If you want Chris Scullion to show you his gammy thumbs, he will do that. He will do anything as part of this performance, so look forward to that.
Gammy thumb, I should stress.
Sorry,
fighting fit.
Sorry, I'd like to issue a correction on behalf of VGC the Video Game Podcast. Chris Scullion has a gammy thumb, not gammy thumbs.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, if you'd like to support the #1 Gammy Thumb podcast, you can do so over at patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. Lots of good stuff up there. A hell of an archive of videos, podcasts, and of course you get ad-free browsing on the site. A site you may have been using to read story number 1. Sources. Nintendo is planning a new Star Fox and a major Zelda remake this year, but no 3D Mario. That's according to prominent Nintendo insider Nate the Hate, who shared a plethora of information about the company's 2026 plans, which matches what VGC has heard from its own sources. So, here's the rub. Star Fox Revival planned for release on Switch 2 this summer, and then Mario will be next year. Also, the bonus ball being an Ocarina of Time remake. We go now to #1 Nintendo fan on Earth, Andy Robinson, with more. Andy, what's the word on all this Nintendo ephemera?
Well, you've just said it.
See you later, folks.
Thanks for listening. Say goodbye, Chris.
We talked a little bit about this. Was it last week or the one before? Probably last week when they announced that Fox was in the Mario movie. We kind of covered this, that they don't do things like that in isolation. They're very switched on, kind of IP business now. Donkey Kong was kind of like well timed with the new game coming up and a DK film coming next. So I think that was kind of the signal when he was in the movie that, okay, they're actually going to take this IP seriously again and bring it back. And that's where the money's at for these companies. It's a rich vault. And I think I said last time that, I bet Marvel, a lot of people weren't expecting Iron Man and Guardians of the Galaxy to be these massive, IPs, but it shows how valuable having these franchises in the locker are. But that's cool, right? That's cool.
I think a lot of kids will leave the film with him as their new favorite character.
Yeah, he's like Boba
Fett.
Yeah,
I think and I think it's the story of how he ended up in that film is just fascinating. Did you guys read this?
I read what they said. I don't believe it.
I mean, I think there's a degree of truth to it, where it was like, so the story was for listeners who maybe haven't seen it, and this was in either Deadline or Variety, one of the film rags. And when I read it summarized on Blue Sky by one of those news accounts that summarizes the news, and I was like, that's bollocks.
One of those vultures.
And then when I clicked through, I was like, oh, this is on the legit Hollywood paper, and it's legit their interview with the CEO of Illumination. But it was that weird thing of the writer of the film, this I 100% believe, had approached the producers and said, I think, given this is in space, we need a character to fill this role in the story as I'm writing it, and I think we should use Star Fox. They then went to Nintendo and asked Nintendo, and they had the back and forth, and Miyamoto has said they were quite resistant at first, yada, yada, yada.
Miyamoto went, piss off! Who's Star Fox?
He's always had a weird relationship with Star Fox, I think, because it's his, but it isn't his, right? But just giving it away to Rare and all that sort of stuff. But then the secondary fact was the Illumination president was saying, after the success of the first film, we had quite a lot of Hollywood actors reach out and say, I want to be in this universe, which again, I 100% believe. And he said Donald Glover and Glenn Powell were on that list, which again, I 100% believe. But he said, Donald Glover just said, I want a part, any part. And Donald Glover gets Yoshi. But he said that Glenn Powell specifically said, I love Star Fox. And I think it's probably, and the Illumination president was like, it was really surreal because all these things happened within a month of each other. Like when Glenn Powell got in touch with him, they were already talking about if Fox could be in the film. And he was like, I thought this was a sign from God that he needed to be in the film. But if that's the case, you've got to have Glenn Powell pushing now and going. I love the idea of casting someone as someone from Top Gun.
It does seem somewhat of a coincidence, doesn't it? That the man from Top Gun reached out and said, hello, can I be Star Fox in your totally unrelated film that no one, including me, expects him to appear in?
No, but it's like people, because this is what...
But I believe that the general, that particular bit, right? Of course, actors would have reached out and said, "Can we be part of your $1 billion franchise?" Yes.
What did Yes, but what did we all do the second that they announced that film and the second that film was a success? We all started talking about what other Nintendo IP. Oh, I want an F-Zero film. Oh, I want a Star Fox film.
Oh yeah, but I don't. Did any of us expect that to rock up in the next Mario movie?
No one expected it, but it doesn't. But these actors are similar.
I thought they were quite sacrilegious about that, Nintendo. That
these actors are similar. These actors are similar ages to us, so I don't think it's that unlikely that people.
100%. I'm just saying all of the coming together.
Yeah. If somebody who played a lot of Star Fox 64, whatever, in college went, I'm just going to message them just on the off chance because I would love to be that character. I can see it because it happens in Marvel all the time, right? It's on the record of so many actors messaging Marvel, and sometimes they get the part they wanted, sometimes they get a different part, but I believe it, and I think they will do the film, and I think he's characterised really well in that film. I think what'll be interesting is, on the assumption this game is real, which I believe it's real, Fox is characterised quite differently to the games. And so it'll be interesting to see if, so being honest, I had heard that this was possibly a thing, and the thing that was said to me was, oh, the game's really funny. Which suggests perhaps the writing is a focus, and that suggests maybe you are going to get a bit of a different vision of.
Joe, I'm up for that. Like, because I like the Star Fox games. The Star Fox games we have, well, there will always be the Star Fox games we have, and they're quite serious for games that have animals flying spaceships. They take themselves quite seriously because it's like the kind of stuff. If it's a jokey one, almost like a Lego style sense of humor, which is what
that just happened.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, maybe not that kind of crap, but
Slippy Toad's right behind me, isn't he?
Lego, you mentioned Lego. This is a Lego, are we?
That's unofficial. Throw that at the wall.
I know it's a Timu special.
Hours of work.
That's so cool.
But the fact is, but I'm up for that. I'm up for a change in direction, especially if because Fox. I'm sure we'll talk about the movie in more depth later, but Fox felt a bit more like Falco to me in this one, and like so if he's like the wisecracking one, then it makes sense to kind of go in that direction with the game.
Yeah,
because that's what kids know now.
Fox is quite boring, isn't he, in the games? He's quite down the line. Like, he's got cool little turns of phrase. He says stuff like, let's rock and roll or whatever. But he's leader in terms of how he's characterised, whereas he feels like more of a character.
In the games, he's Luke Skywalker, and in the film, he's Han Solo.
I don't even think he's Luke Skywalker, though. That's like, because even Luke is like a little bit interesting, a little bit cheeky. Fox is like, he's like a... He's like Star Trek captain levels of dry, except he makes a bit of a pun every now and then. You know what I mean? Like, he's like a...
Captain America.
Yeah, probably more. But even then, I think Captain America's got more character than Fox in. But that's because Fox is, and this is the question for Zelda, right? That's because Fox is an audience cipher character in the game. It's like which Miyamoto was always obsessed with, right? With the idea of, I don't want to characterize the protagonist too much. And they've gradually moved away from that. But the funny thing is, and this is why I mentioned this would be the question for Zelda in the Zelda film, is like, Mario is the least interesting character in the Mario film. Yeah. I think because they are reluctant to give him too much character, because it almost feels like blasphemy. So what you get is a film that's really about Peach and Bowser and Rosalina and Bowser Jr. It's not really about Mario. He's just there and things happen around him. And one wonders, you cannot do that with Zelda.
Speaking of Zelda, we're going to talk about more. We're going to talk about the bloody film at the end of the podcast. All right. Speaking of Zelda, you three are Nintendo zealots who refuse to grow up. How are they going to remake what is widely considered the most beloved game of all time, but maybe a little bit dated? Is probably not in a bad sense, not in a pejorative sense, but Andy, gameplay wise, Ocarina of Time, you give that to a 2026 audience, they maybe go, what's this muck? Where's my Breath of the Wild style control?
I mean, I've thought about this a lot since I heard that this was happening. Ocarina's probably, if it's not my favorite game of all time, it's definitely a top 3. Absolutely incredible, formative experience for me. When that came out, I probably was 12 years old, something like that. It just, changed, every superlative and, cliche you can imagine just changed what I thought video games could be. Just an incredible experience. But it's of course, like something like that. I mean, it's the same with similarly, kind of revelatory experiences like Mario 64. Yeah. Everything becomes then so derivative of that or so inspired of that the original work like ends up looking a little bit stale for those who kind of revisit in the future. So there are lots of bits of it that I think are outdated. I think that there's probably 2 questions. What would I do and what I think Nintendo would do? I'd be very surprised if this is a giant full remakey undertaking. I'm trying to think of examples of them doing that at scale. Usually it's a remaster, right? I mean, you're kind of looking at the 3D games, the Ocarina 3D, but that's very much, I'd argue, is a remaster, right? I mean, they've updated all the visuals.
It's kind of in the middle, yeah. Still not full.
I would. It's a HD
guess. Okay.
Yeah,
as in 3DS is really HD, but not HD.
My guess, and also what I would do, is that the bit that's aged is the Hyrule Field, right?
That's exactly.
And that was for anyone who was around at the time. That was the big, most revelatory thing, and everyone talks about. Oh my god, the first time I went into Hyrule Field, blah blah. Because in 1998, walking into a big open 3D space, that was vast at the time. You can get on a horse and probably take you 5 minutes to go from one side to the other. That was incredible, right? But obviously it seems very antiquated now, and it's very empty by today's standards, probably even by 2000 standards, right? I mean, that kind of took off.
It was aged when it came out on 3DS.
Yeah, 100%. We're now. Yeah, go on, say it. Yeah,
we're now further from when the 3DS version came out than we were from the original when the 3DS version came out. Which is insane, right?
And there will be this whole tug of war at Nintendo about how these the Breath of the Wild games, the 2 Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, are by a large distance the most successful Zelda games. by a large distance, like 3x. So there, I mean, I think you speculated this in the past, Alex, in different conversations. But I do honestly think, I mean, even like Metroid Prime 4, right? Metroid Prime 4 is a Zelda game in the sense that I would call a pre-Breath of the Wild Zelda game.
Yeah.
And I do totally believe that Nintendo are now looking to go, well, okay, now that Zelda's become this other thing, this sandbox, where can we put these traditional Zelda experiences? So I would kind of imagine that if they're making changes, it's going to be Breath of the Wild style changes, and I think it's ripe for them to, from a production, yeah, of course, from a production point of view, from a resources stand, it kind of makes sense to go, well, let's kind of remaster all the bits and plug them into a sandbox Breath of the Wild type Hyrule Fieldy experience, and that would kind of elevate it. I think that would be a big improvement.
So from my perspective, I have never played the Nintendo 64 version of this game. I got it for the 3DS, played through it, and I was like, okay, I can see why every gaming podcast I listened to at that time talked about it in such a way, and I understand it. Didn't hit for me in the same way, whatever. I'm not like a massive fan of that style of Zelda. However, Scullion, the push and pull with the Zelda fan base now, as Andy's just illustrated, is there is a dividing line between Zelda as massive franchise on the Switch and Zelda as beloved franchise but not billion seller. Is there any way you don't piss off at least one side of that equation? Is it an option to have like both styles of control, or does it have to be such a big change that there's always going to be some kind of problem?
I think I agree with almost everything Andy said, because Andy basically took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say Hyrule Field is the big thing that has to be addressed, because I can see if they've got the Breath of the Wild engine is kind of like, it makes sense to use that again. But if you apply the big thing about Breath of the Wild that the Zelda traditionalists complained about was there weren't as many dungeons in it. It wasn't as dungeony. You had the little shrines dotted about, which felt like almost kind of mini like diet dungeons, and then you had the big ancient beasts or whatever they were called. Those served as the dungeons essentially, but they weren't great dungeons compared to the stuff that were in past Zelda games. It feels like this remake could be a good compromise if Hyrule Field gets the Breath of the Wild light treatment, where there's actually things to do and stuff can kind of just organically happen in the middle of Hyrule Field. So it's not just a big flat textured piece of grass where skeletons appear at nighttime. It's actually something where people are standing about going, "Arr!" and you come over and they've got wee side quests for you and stuff to do in the middle of Hyrule Field. But then the dungeons are still,
you know, like how in I think it was
Majora's
Mask 3D, wasn't it, where they put like the diary in.
Yeah,
so, did they do that? I'm sure they did.
I think so. Yeah.
Am I imagining that? There's like some sort of where it like tracked all your quests and stuff. Just things like that, quality of life change. Because I think if you go too far, I mean, there'll be things like the Lost Woods and that area. You could change that and make it better, right, with today's tech. But I think if you change too much, I think it's so beloved, this game, that you kind of need. You're either being softly, or you're doing Final Fantasy VII Remake. Which is just not sustainable.
Hold on, right? I want to talk about a different franchise, because that's the one to talk about in a way. But the other one to talk about is Resident Evil. The other one to talk about is Resident Evil, because I want to say a few things. One, when we said Nintendo hasn't done this sort of remake before, I think Resident Evil 2 in particular, from every conversation I've had with Japanese devs at every company, changed the game in Japan. Yes, Final Fantasy VII was going to exist anyway, and is a very different sort of thing. But something like Dragon Quest VII Reimagined that we just had would not have existed without Resident Evil 2. And what we haven't seen is Nintendo learn that lesson. And I think this is what we're going to start to see. The second thing I'd say is I agree with the idea of, you take Hyrule Field, and I'm sorry, I've got to lose the Final Fantasy hat because... boo! On all episode, but it's itching. The second thing is you have to. You guys just said, well, you just take Hyrule Field and you make it Breath of the Wildy, but that has a big knock-on effect because Chris, you were saying, side quests and little tasks and challenges to things to do, but you need rewards in Breath of the Wild. The rewards are the gear. You've got a role-playing game, an RPG-style gear system. You've got outfits made of 4 different pieces. You've got weapons that break, so you're constantly needing a new supply of weapons, which makes all that exploration worthwhile. If you do that in Ocarina, you've changed the structure of the game significantly, because suddenly you're not just Kokori Sword, Master Sword, Big Sword Sword, and Giant's Knife.
It's only if you plug it in that integrally, you just come up with some golden gummy bears or something and put them in there. They just come up with some new arc and
how do it feel so small?
I do think what you describe is correct, but I think what's probably going to happen is much in that Resident Evil 2 way, a lot of the systems will be recontextualized. I.e., will things like the iron boots and the tunics work the same as they do in base Ocarina of Time? If they're doing this right, they won't. They'll work more like they do in Breath of the Wild. Do you port in stuff like the weather, the hot and cold and stuff from Breath of the Wild, where you need to wrap up war? Those are the questions. I think where you're on the money is the dungeons. You leave the dungeons untouched. Maybe you add a room or 2. Everything else is fair game. A big element is Zelda. Ocarina of Time is made up of 30, 40 different zones. Once that's all unified as well, so Hyrule, you walk into the castle, you walk up to you walk into Castle Town, you walk up to the castle, it's all seamless. You go up the river into Zora's Domain, things like that. Those fade to black, hide a lot. And there's gaps. This is what Resident Evil 2 was so brilliant at. There's gaps that you can fill in there, where you go, right, when you stand at the waterfall and play Zelda's Lullaby and the door opens to Zora's Domain, you walk in and you're in Zora's Domain, but clearly there's an unseen journey through
there's a reception area with a Zora standing at a wee desk saying,
yeah. And so I think that's
or if it's a Japanese one, it's just a room with a phone.
And I think, but I think that's where you find little ways you can build this game out and expand it, and make it a bit bigger. You can drop some of the famous landmarks that appeared in later games in. It's like Ocarina of Time doesn't have the Hylia Bridge or whatever it's called, so you can drop all that stuff. So I think they can do that, but I'm most curious about that gameplay question, where I don't think you can change the items. Oh, one other thing before you speak, Andy. The other thing is, it's a deeply prescriptive game. You go to A, then to B, then to C. As Child Link, it makes sense because it sort of works as a tutorial. When you become adult, there's sort of the promise a little bit, but then it sort of reneges on it. So I think you can... I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can definitely do some stuff like... You're supposed to go to Forest first, but I think you can do maybe the first half of Spirit or the first half of Shadow and then go to Forest, but then you have to go back because you need the bow. It would be interesting to see them try and restructure the game just a bit, so you've got a little bit more latitude in the order in which you tackle those adult Link dungeons, which is how Breath of the Wild would be structured.
I think that I agree with a lot of what you're saying, probably less so in turning it into Breath of the Wild, because I'm not a huge fan of the
Well, I think you need to thread the needle, right?
Yeah, of course. But my big thing listening to what you're saying, though, is that it's all a question. This could easily... I mean, this is probably... What you just said there is basically probably what they've said when they've sat in a room and gone, how do we remake Ocarina? And then someone goes, mate, we're not spending 200 million on this, right? Because at a certain point, that becomes an absolute monster. Because the games you're comparing them to as well, like RE2 and Final Fantasy, that's the main team spending 5 years, and the big budgets making that's their big hit, right? Whereas I'm guessing this is not the mainline Zelda team, that they've not been working on it for 8 years. And also it comes into all the other questions on top of that. There are a lot of reasons to not change it too much. I think there's more reasons to not change it too much from a resource point of view, but also from a expectation point of view, than there are to go in and just make this whole monster project. I'm not expecting big things. This
is the Zelda game, though, that is going to probably be the flagship Zelda game when the film comes out. And that's the other thing.
And the last flagship Mario games for when the Mario movie came out are like 2-minute remasters. True. It means anything, does it? Mario Wonder is the worst Mario expansion I can remember. And the last one was just like they slapped some ROMs on a disc, right? They sold 10 million copies.
From the set photos, I would have, and from the casting of like an athletic, grown-up Impa, I assume that the film is probably going to be along the Ocarina lines anyway, which is what I would have picks as well. So you want to retell that story, but I don't know. I think they will probably thread the needle. Resident Evil 9 is an interesting example as well from the perspective when we talk about the future of Zelda. Maybe the future is something like that, where the Grace sections, so to speak, are the dungeons, and the Leon sections are the open world in which you tool about and do whatever the hell you're thinking.
Resident Evil, I think, is an interesting example to bring up, because also Resident Evil 3 remake shows the dangers of going too far, because I think like 2 was very good because it still kind of hit the same beats as the original, so people thought it was like, this is how you remake a game. 3 is nothing like 3. The original 3, like the story goes all over the place. It's nothing like.
Well, this is the interesting thing about Capcom is Andy was saying, it's the main team, it's not the main team. The thing about Resident Evil is, I would argue with Resi,
right.
you can't. Like there's lineage. It's a bit like Final Fantasy actually. They're very dissimilar, but one way in which they are similar is like with Resident Evil, you've got that lineage of like 7, little half of 2 remake, and then 9. And then you got the lineage of the guys who did the other half of 2 remake, then did 3, and they're probably the guys who are doing Code Veronica. And then you've got the guys who did 3 and then Village, whatever. So, like, and Final Fantasy, it's like you've got the 13.
It's the point I was making was that they've not boshed out like RE2 remake to like Grezzo. You know, like it's a proper team that internally that are taken very seriously, and this is a very important project to us. Whereas I'd kind of be surprised if this is not more than we need a Zelda game for the movie.
Here's how you do it. You do the gold and silver trick. You play through Ocarina. Zelda Link beats Ganon/Ganondorf. Zelda's delighted. Link's walking home. A job well done. Back to his wee treehouse. And he looks up in the sky, and the moon's got a face, and it's coming down to the ground. And then
nice and cheap.
Majora's Mask.
Remake 2 games.
It totally destroys the lore and the storyline.
The irony is right. It is more expensive, but it's not like it's double the price in the sense that the beautiful thing about Majora is that all 90% of the assets in that game are in Ocarina anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The geometry changes, but they reuse every model from Ocarina is reused in because they made it in fucking 13 months, 14 months.
Well, Majora story expansion DLC confirmed.
No thanks. I'm going to go and get a Majora can of Monster to quench my thirst. I recommend you do the same during this break. But before then, check out patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. We'll be back with PlayStation price news, Xbox June nonsense, and then I'll be quiet while they talk about a movie for children. We'll see you in a minute. And we are back with a lovely can of Ultra Fantasy Ruby Red.
Speaking of beverages, Jordan, turns out Coca-Cola are now doing their Coke Zero they're now doing a caffeine-free Coke Zero, which I thought I'd try to see how they could take as much ingredients as they possibly can out of.
What's the point of being alive, man?
Fizzy water, and I realised it's
fizzy water. He's back.
007 First Light.
Oh,
it's 007. I'm not sure what there is 7 of.
Zero sugar, 0 caffeine. But then it should say 7 calories. It says
that's
0
what I mean.
calories.
Yeah.
000. That's poor. But yeah, apparently you can put your thumbprint on it. I'm surely not. I think that's just a gimmick to win a custom branded Xbox, which is one of those ones, when they do like one Xbox, and you go, I'd quite like to buy that, and they go, sorry, we've only made one.
That's one at least that's one Xbox exclusive.
I know, I was going to say that would be one Xbox sold rather than 0.
But they always makes me like chuckle a little bit when you see like people getting ranking those custom consoles and stuff from the history, like official releases, like the rarest GameCube is the MTV GameCube. Like, as someone who's worked like on games where we had those made, you're paying a geezer round the corner to like do unless it's come off the conveyor belt.
West Coast Customs.
But the value is
it's West Coast Customs. Yeah.
The value, I suppose, is in the knowledge of it. Like when Lionhead closed down, a mate of mine was like, "We're clearing out cupboards. Do you want something?" And I was like, "Yeah." And a package arrived at my house, and it was like a
big lion's head.
It was a Fable 2 or 3, I forget, branded 360, where they only made them for competition and stuff. So they only made about 10. They'd obviously kept one for the studio, and then that ended up with me when they closed because they were just giving stuff to people they knew. And that's in my loft. But the thing is, there's no certificate of authenticity. Anyone could have gone and got this Xbox wrapped. It's just I know where the providence of where it came from, and if I was selling it, which I'm not, but if I was selling it, someone would have to believe that story.
Sorry, 15, 20. I could go to 20.
Listen, you get upwards of 3 figures for that.
Yeah,
£1.99.
I'll do 30 if you do friends and family PayPal. Speaking of the price of consoles, good news, everyone! PS5 console prices are being raised by $100. The cheapest
Finally.
PlayStation 5 you can get, the digital edition, is now £520 British pounds, or $600 if you're over there. And the professional console, the world's most powerful console, is now a cool £790 or $900, further proving that at launch it was a bargain. Things can only get better, in the words of Tonty Blair. Alex Donaldson.
Did anyone
do the Argos thing?
Did anyone panic? Did anyone panic buy anything? I bought the disc drive, and I did buy a Portal, even though I will probably never use it.
Alex, let me tell you, the PlayStation 5 Pro could be £5, and because Chris Cullion is so stubborn, he still wouldn't buy it.
I looked at it on Argos. I saw that Argos was selling the Pro for what, $620 or something.
Yeah,
It was like a discount they had on, and I was looking at it. I was like, "Oh, Louise, look at this! They're putting the price of the Pro up, and it's like it's only $620 just now." And Louise laughed, "But are you getting it?" And I was like, "No." Like for a split second, my brain went, "This is a bargain. You should get this bargain." And then I realised what it was. This is actually that's not an absolute nonsense. Even still,
yeah. If it was an Xbox Pro, you'd be like, "Oh, double the price, and I'll still buy it."
Xbox Pro would already have it. Argos wouldn't come into it. I would have bought it on minute one.
Yeah, on your knees. Andy Robinson, are we just waiting for a £600 Switch 2? What's going on here? Things are only going to get worse.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty much guaranteed, right? But the thing is about Nintendo is that they've been raising their prices like stealthily elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
The decoupling of the digital and physical editions in the US, I imagine that means that you might see some physical editions go up. They removed the Mario Kart bundle, so effectively that means that the console is already $50 more. I wouldn't be surprised if you see them do stuff like put up the price of Switch Online. They seem to be doing everything but.
I will say though,
it's the expectations there, right?
They did pledge that they wouldn't raise the price in this fiscal year. So the pledge that they made ends on Sunday. So if you're planning to buy a Switch,
By the way,
consider doing it this weekend.
A Nintendo Switch 2 on Amazon right now is £380. I can't remember what they actually are, but that feels like something you should go and buy. Yeah.
It's $450.
£380 for a Switch 2. That feels pretty decent, but
I remember there was lots of, speaking of money saving measures. I'm sure we all remember on just a few days ago on the 31st of March when there was wailing and gnashing of teeth in the streets as people were setting fire to buildings when Switch 2 game chat was no longer free.
Oh.
I remember for a limited time that was free, and then they said that actually from the 1st of April you'll have to be a Switch Online member.
Who has used it even once?
No.
Apart
my kids.
We used it once because we did a Mario Kart night with the VGC Patreon Discord. We did it for that.
And it was
That wasn't even game chat, was it? No, because we used Discord chat for that.
Discord, we used an actual system.
They've used game chat for that. So you have never used it?
I've never used it. Apart from at the Nintendo event where they made us use it.
Yeah. It's weird. Is that so you would say that's the gimmick of the Switch 2 is the game chat thing? Is that the quickest time to death for a Nintendo system gimmick? Can you think of any others that were?
There was
built at launch then maybe
HD Rumble.
Good. Although isn't
the
Switch's gimmick the fact that it's a hybrid? Could you maybe give it that? I don't know.
It was the GameCube's handle.
GameCube's handle, nice. Or the GameCube little poppy discs that you could change the top of because no one ever really did that.
Technically, there's stuff like the network adapter plug thing in the GameCube, which never really got started.
Actually, I'm pretty sure beyond the launch games, they just completely stopped doing asymmetric 2-screen games on Wii U. The Wii U gamepad became put a second
on the
SNES.
I think the Super Scope only had one first-party game, which was such a disappointment after there were so many good light gun games on the NES.
But if we're talking post-launch, then you've got stuff like the Wii Chat thing that they added with Animal Crossing that nobody bothered with after. The kind of microphone you could put on your telly. and no one gave a shit about it. But when you go post-launch, there's a million things.
Please, again, to emphasise, my 9 and 10-year-old, they use game chat all the time. Their mates come online, they sit and play Animal Crossing and Pokopia together.
We're not the audience. We're socially awkward.
This is how it happens. In like 10 years, there's going to be really annoying 20-year-olds making YouTube videos about everyone remembers game chat. Everyone loved game chat. It was classic Nintendo. The same way
we'll
they
all
talk
be
about
dead by then, so it's fine.
Hopefully on this.
I saw a video on a Mario Galaxy movie review where someone described Mario 3D World as the amazing game from their childhood.
God.
But we're back to Ocarina though, which is this is why, as much as they want to respect what us old men think, they need to make a Zelda game there for people who literally were not alive even when the 3DS one came out.
Oh no, I saw something else as well. Something Mario movie. Someone put up a the FMV intro to Smash Brawl on GameCube.
Yeah. Or was it Brawl or was it Melee? Because Melee's the iconic.
Melee, the GameCube one, Melee.
Yeah.
And they wrote, I can't imagine how incredible it would have been to be alive to have seen this at the time.
Christ.
That came out in 2002, 3?
That's 20 years
exactly,
ago now.
yeah. Just
I will something we need to. We're going off topic massively, but this sort of the topic
on this podcast. No,
but people who think the Fox stuff means they're leading up to a Smash Brothers movie are just off their rocker.
I don't get that.
This is not what they're doing. They're just trying to stand up different characters. That's it. They're not going to mash them up. Even Miyamoto is that's not where we're going.
Kids 6 and 7-year-old kids aren't going to the cinema to see Marth. As much as people,
it will probably do. Look, they will probably do some stuff can I see them in the future releasing a film that is literally called Mario versus Donkey Kong? Absolutely. Once they've done a DK film, I could see that sort of thing, but they ain't going to be doing Smash. Or someone was they should do a Mario Kart film. I was they basically did do a Mario Kart film.
They'll do Smash. It's just not going to be called Smash. I mean, that's what, they do the Star Fox movie.
They'll call it Super Mario All-Stars.
You said no one's excited for Marth, but they will be excited for Marth when they insert him into the Star Fox movie.
This is what I mean. We'll have to have a conversation. This is where we get into movie spoilers, so we won't get into it in detail. But all I would say is, I think you're going to end up with pockets. So it's Mario is going to coexist alongside certain franchises, and if they do a Star Fox movie, there's never going to be an F-Zero movie. But it wouldn't surprise me if within the Star Fox movie franchise, there is an interlude in one of the movies where they land on a planet, and that's the F-Zero planet. And then Fox enters the F-Zero.
I've completely changed my mind about all of this, because I would have agreed with you before I saw the movie. I was really surprised by the number of frivolous cameos.
But they go to great, they go to great pains with Fox to sort of say, he's not from this universe.
Great pains, one sentence. Literally, if you found someone who's recently had a head injury in A&E and asked them, how would you explain this away?
We need to put a pin in this and come back to it on the bit where
we will talk about the Mario film in a minute.
Because we need to talk about spoilers.
I'm going to flip this fucking table.
PlayStation put their prices up.
PlayStation have put their prices up. I don't care. I've already got all of them. If you don't, you're a pleb. Next up, this is actually
one last thing on the PlayStation thing, because it's a conversation we had with Mr. Christopher Drink on WhatsApp. I think the interesting thing is, how does this impact? There's always been this assumption that GTA was going to move loads and loads of consoles, get a lot of people to upgrade to pros, get a lot of people who are still languishing on PS4 to upgrade to PS5. I think the biggest question, we just don't know the answer, is how much this price increase is going to negatively impact that. How many people are going to be put off the upgrade that they would have done? Because it's out of impulse buy territory now.
But it's become a premium hobby, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Console gaming has become a premium hobby. I guess probably any kind of AAA gaming has become a premium hobby, because I still think PS5 Pro is the best deal in gaming right now. If you want to play something in 4K, big blockbuster games, including PCs or any device, especially the new PSSR update, it is. I think it is actually really good value if you're looking to play it, assuming that, which I think they're going to drop the new console in the next 18 months, 2 years, which will be irritating because I don't think anyone wants it at this point. It's a good deal, but at the same time, it's the microeconomics of it are interesting because it's people losing their minds that a PS5 costs $600 when people are buying £1,000 iPhones every year or every other.
But they're
year,
not, are they? Because they're getting them on a contract and paying over the course of 24.
But that's life now. People buying things in cash. Everyone's getting.
But it's also the fact, but a phone does a lot of different things. If there are these people these people that we keep talking about who are waiting to buy a console when GTA comes out because the only thing they want to buy is GTA on that console, you're now saying to them to buy that one game that you want, that one game, you're talking even for the digital edition, you're talking £600 to buy that one game.
That's what I mean.
I don't think the price of the console is the issue. I think
but as if people don't have it yet, because you're telling
when we talked about games going to $70, $80. I mean, that was the argument was always with inflation, games were more expensive in the past and they haven't changed. But the difference was your mortgage wasn't the majority of your wage 20 years ago, whereas now it is.
Well, it's a whole macroeconomic picture there, but I just think it is that the whole industry has been on tenterhooks of this idea of the GTA wave, which would be GTA breaking a load of records, but also GTA shifting a load of hardware, which in turn then obviously raises the sales of other games down the line because the install base has gone up. So if you've sold X million more PlayStation 5s and PS5 Pros because of GTA, and 10% of those people are buying FIFA or Madden, that's huge for EA's bottom line. And I just question now, and
I think you're underrating. I think you're underrating the scale of GTA purely because GTA is the only game that I see on socials that is making a dent into the people who only play Roblox and things like that, the Roblox, Fortnite, Forever games. The only real game they're getting excited for is GTA, and if they don't have something to play,
the people who only play Roblox then have to go to their parents and say, "Could you drop £700?"
But that's GTA, it's a misconception that it's only kids that play Roblox, though. It's a massive misconception.
Forget Roblox.
People, adults who play Roblox.
They're absolute wrongins, but there is people that are they're in their 20s, all they play is that Dress to Impress Roblox game, and they don't have a quote unquote real console. I think that
but what's the Venn diagram of Dress to Impress players waiting for GTA to?
But also
GTA is the game. It is going to be bigger than anyone thinks it's going to be, by orders of magnitude.
But are those people going to spend as much as their car is worth on a console and GTA?
Mate, they'd spend the amount of money on that PS6 as they would on a pair of trainers or a designer jacket or something like that. People just piss money all the time.
But a lot of people are not
everyone
buying
has got
designer
that much
shoes
money.
and designer jackets. It's I think probably the question here, we're maybe getting distracted a little bit, focusing on PS5, is that everyone's going to want GTA. As soon as this thing goes on Switch 2. As soon as this thing goes on Switch 2, or as soon as this thing goes on Xbox's, PC console or whatever, the Xbox version can be streamed on PC, right, with their new console, presumably. It's going to take the PS5 out of the equation.
I still think there's massive question marks if this game comes to Switch 2, massive question marks. I also think it would be
of course there are.
I think it would be completely unsurprising if Rockstar went to Xbox and were like, this can't run on the S. If there's any game that Microsoft would completely fall over for,
it's not going to happen.
But if the game is going to be unacceptably bad on the S and Rockstar says we don't want to show off the game this way, is there any way in which Microsoft says it has to or it's not coming to Xbox? No way on earth. If Rockstar said they wanted it to just be on X, it would just be on X.
But where is the evidence that it can't run on S?
No, I'm not saying. I mean, the evidence is the way that it looks in all the trailers. If it is really,
they downscale it.
But
Every PC game in the world, the trailer shows it looking at its best, and then there's sliders that drop the quality down for people who don't have a setup that makes it look that good. The Series S version just won't look as good as the trailers do. It'll still run. But
like, if it barely runs, are Rockstar going to want that to go out as a version that people can play? Like, I think
if it's the only way people can afford it, they don't care. They get a sale.
And all I'd just.
I mean, this is going to be something that they're thinking about as well. Alex,
yeah,
right? This is something that Rockstar are thinking about, is that we need to make this accessible to people.
Just coming back to the broad, let's say, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, if you take the average salary in the UK according to the British government, and then you assume GTA is going to be at least 80, and then you take the new PlayStation prices, you're looking at, 1.5%, depending on what version of the PlayStation you want to go for, up to over 2% of the average national salary before tax, before NI, before contributions, just to get GTA. And that pushes it from impulse purchase up to, and nice to have purchase, up to what you would call a luxury good. In fact, in the government's own tax bracketing stuff, the Pro would now officially be a luxury good. So it's in the same category as a lower end Omega watch or tab.
Had to be watches. I knew it was coming. It always comes back to watches on this podcast.
I haven't got one on today, but and that's. I just think there's got to be a not insignificant audience. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be loads of people who have money, who have more disposable income. But the thing about GTA that's always made it special is it's always touched every echelon of society from top to bottom. Well, not always, but since GTA 3, where everyone has bought it and played it, from, people who are really successful business people who have millions and millions and millions of dollars of income, to people who are, on benefits, on council estates, whatever, living on minimum wage, living on the breadline almost. GTA was the game you'd play. Even if you couldn't afford any of the others. And this has suddenly become insanely expensive.
The thing that's dissuaded me of the idea that people are put off by the price and stuff like that is, I was genuinely shocked to my core with the amount of people who saw Pacopia and were just like, yeah, I'll go and get a Switch 2. No thought in their head, I'll just go and pick up a Switch 2 for 400 quid. The amount of money people spend on things has shot up. The amount of money you need to spend for a night out these days is ridiculous, but people still do it. I just think that it's obviously unprecedented that consoles are so much more expensive now than they were at the launch. That's totally ridiculous. But I feel like that the jump is a sore one, but I don't see the category of people that are put off by the £100 change. I just don't think £100, as ridiculous as to say, £100 isn't that much money today. It just isn't, especially in this context.
It's not about £100 though, because it's not about £100. It's about six. It's that famous. Who was it? Recent game developer, and they were talking about price. And
there was the Peak developers saying,
and they were $5 is $5, $6 is $5, $7 is also $5, but $8 is $10, and so on and so forth. It's about that, and it's about your package now with GTA, especially when you factor in the fact that demand's probably going to go up anyway because of GTA. That pairs with the chip shortage and stuff to probably mean that you're not going to have very many discounts. What I'm saying is, for a lot of people, it's going to look closer to $1,000 than not now, and it's that perception is really powerful. I think. I don't think it's going to kill. It's not going to kill GTA or anything, but I just think more GTA is going to break every record imaginable. But it's more the broader industry situation, and how many units of hardware get shifted. I think the positive that GTA will bring will be lower now than it would have been before, which has a knock-on effect to everyone else, I think. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah. It's all if, buts, and maybes at this point. I predict I could see the game itself breaking records, but then the subsequent hardware sales, when Sony, etc., do their financial reports, going up, but not as much as we would have expected. Yeah. So like you say, I expect massive software sales, but a modest rise in hardware sales.
Yeah, I
think it'll sell among the existing audience.
Yeah, and it's people it's people like there's students. There's 3 million uni students in the UK. Now some of those some of those are people at Oxford and Cambridge and have got flush parents and got mummy's credit card, daddy's credit card, and they've got loads of money. But there's a load of people who are, at bloody Warwick or Coventry or Manchester who, once they've done their night out, have £20 left a week. And a lot of those people are people who I would put into that category of like, GTA is a game that they would buy a console for. And they've been waiting to buy a PS5 for GTA. Or buy an Xbox Series, but who's waiting to buy an Xbox Series at the minute? But, and that's the audience where I'm like, man, this seems like a bad idea for the whole industry. But the flip side is Sony's got its back against the wall because the component parts are through the roof. The RAM that's in my computer, the RAM that is in my computer was, when I put it in 2 years ago, was cutting edge. So it's still the current RAM. And I paid, just over 500 quid for these 4 sticks of RAM. And that exact same 4 sticks is over £2,000 now. It's insane.
I'll give you a tenner. Breaking news from Paisley. The small Morrison's is completely out of fuel, and the big Morrison's has queues of an hour for people to fill up their car. So nice wee crisis heading to the UK and the rest of the world there. If you're going on holiday this year, get your flights booked before the flights are 18 times the price.
Andy and I literally had this discussion about TGS this week, did we not?
Yeah, Andy's been on his Skyscanner bullshit yesterday trying to get
I think he's muted and looking very intently at the screen.
There's nothing to say.
Andy's pro the war. Speaking of the war, Xbox. Let's talk about the Xbox Game Showcase. It's confirmed for June, the 7th of June. Afterwards, they'll do a Gears of War E-Day Direct. I fully assume what we get here is dates for Halo, which I'm told is August. We get Halo Campaign Evolved, and we get, maybe they show that State of Decay 3 that is kind of went MIA. I think they're probably setting themselves up for a good show. Chris Scullion, do we get Phil Spencer regenerating into the new boss with the gold sparks and all?
It starts in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And you get Konichiwa, Phil Des.
Phil Spencer.
And then he transforms. It'll obviously start with Asher Sharma giving the spiel about how this is the future of Xbox, blah, blah, blah.
Xbox is back. Xbox is back. Chris, I don't know if you've heard, but Xbox is back.
One of the perfectly sensible Xbox devotees had a go at me on the social medias recently for saying that this is probably a make or break moment for Xbox, this conference, because if they get the messaging wrong here, that's it. Like this needs to be the moment where they start winning people over again and saying, right, okay, forget all that. This is how we're going forward. This is our plan going forward. This is how we expect to start winning people back. This is the new Xbox. This is blah 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 blah. If they get the messaging wrong again and we get another Xbox One situation with connecting,
that's the hat trick, baby.
I don't think we should dwell on this too much because we've had the conversation so many times. But I just don't see how you put the genie back in the bottle now.
Yeah,
it's done. You can't. The direction of travel, and not just even just financially, the money they are making a lot of money from since they've kind of gone multi-platform and put everything on PS5 and changed their perspective. We've just spent 20 minutes talking about the state of the console market, right? Why on earth do they want to get back involved in that? In worrying about
a pride thing?
Getting people on a box. It's done. There's a new person in who's saying lots of very easy, that she's plucking low hanging fruit, right? Saying things that don't mean anything. Nothing's going to change. They're doing exactly the same thing.
I've said this before. The way you actually get the buy-in at Microsoft for this box, for the new box, and it's not what I want the new box to be, but it's the way you get the buy-in, is you return to the Trojan horse that was the whole concept of the Xbox originally, where Microsoft, the only reason Xbox exists is because Microsoft was frightened that the living room was the next great frontier and that Sony was going to own the living room. So the whole idea was, we'll make a PlayStation rival in order to make sure that Microsoft is involved in the living room. Great, fine. The frontier now is AI. So you literally go, right, we're going to sell this Xbox But what it actually is a Trojan horse to get Copilot into the living room. So it's got a microphone on it. It's always listening. And you can go, hey, Xbox, hey, Cortana, order me pepperoni large from Domino's. Or, set a timer for 20 minutes. Or, tell my Sonos speakers to put on Alanis Morissette or Slipknot or whatever.
What playlist?
And it does all that.
Eclectic.
And the argument is the argument is that you make within Microsoft to get the money to do that is that this is our Trojan horse to get our AI in when everyone's got Alexas or Alexas or Siris or Geminis already on their phones. Microsoft doesn't have phones. Already on their smart speakers. Microsoft doesn't make smart speakers. This is their one opportunity to break that.
The second they mention Copilot during any game showcase whatsoever, it's dead.
Copilot.
That is a challenge. I think what they're doing is the right. Like we were talking about, why would they even think about staying in the console space? They're not. They're moving to the PC space back. They're moving back to that, and they're releasing a console as almost as a symbol that, oh, don't worry, console players, we still care about you. This thing's a PC. It's a PC that has backwards compatibility for the old console games that they had, but the games you buy for the next generation Xbox are PC games. They're not console games.
I just didn't. When I said that, I just didn't understand what you and Alex meant when you said it was like their last chance.
It's a last chance to sell hardware. Like they'll still continue releasing games on PlayStation and on their Xbox on PC, and the Game Pass will still be there for PC games, but. This will be the last hardware they make.
To me, this is them offboarding, their audience onto PC.
Mm-hmm. I'll be there at the Xbox Fan Fest with my Xbox jacket on and my Xbox hat and my one of those clackers that you get at Fulham that you can spin around.
I've still got here. Oh, that hurt my bad arm. I've still got the one that they gave away when they had their last big summer game, which we joked at the time, right? That these are like patches that rip off. And someone at Xbox got very upset with me because I said, have they done that so we can rip them off as you close them? To ensure the jacket remains accurate.
I noticed they've got. That was pre-Activision, though, wasn't it? Oh, Blizzard's there.
No, that's post-Activision. Yeah.
What I will say
about King then?
What I will say about this Summer Games Fest is about this showcase is. They had a really big presence in 2024, massive, and they had a huge venue and they had a big party and they made a very big splash and it was very impressive and it was really good vibes. That was the year they had that amazing Perfect Dark trailer.
Never heard of
it. And it was said to me that, and then last year was much more low key and I think most famous for that hilarious, kiddie fishing pool in the middle of the SGF campus that Phil and Sarah and Matt Booty were pictured around looking very sad, like they were on the world's worst pier. But it was said to me just in passing, oh yeah, it's going to be a really big one for us this year. So I've got to assume they're going to have some big new game announcements as well. But I don't know who would be making
Xbox is a Summer Game Fest rival now.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Xbox is a rival to Summer Game Fest. They'll hold their own event somewhere else, and they'll have the best games because they own the biggest companies now.
And they've solved some of the
2024. I mean, their digital showcase is consistently better than Summer Game Fest as well, in my opinion.
And they've solved some of their third-party woes as well. It's like let's say Final Fantasy VII Part 3 is an SGF. It'll be on Xbox day and date, and it'll probably be. Even if the announcement trailer is in Jeff's thing, there will probably be a second one in Xbox, I would imagine, as part of that commitment to showing that they're there on Xbox. So, and it'll probably be playable in Xbox's like off-site campus as well as if it's playable. So, I think it should be a good show. I'm looking forward to it.
Interesting.
If we're even invited.
It's still an interesting situation because so much damage has been done. It's like. You can tell they're doing everything they can to right the ship, but it's like, is it too late, or like have people just given up already, or is there a chance to turn this around? And because it's basically what it comes down to.
I think they've got a chance.
I from a hardware perspective, I think nobody cares. Like I just can't see a world in which anyone's like, especially off the back of that last conversation, like how much is this next Xbox going to cost? Like it's going to be absolutely
definitely, but I think we need to wait and see what it actually is. If it does actually let you run Steam games and let you run Epic Game Store games and let you run GOG games and let you run itch.io if you like indie shit, then it offers something different. And then the 3 consoles are completely different. And then it does do. If they're just going try to match PS6, no one gives a shit.
If they can,
everyone wants to do a PS6. If this is genuinely saying you can now play your PC games on the couch and it's a lot more powerful than the Steam machine's going to be if that ever exists. Then that's the hook, because they need a hook just now and they don't have one.
The thing is, we are drawing a line, right, between console and PC because that line exists. Yeah. Their mission, their only way. I do agree with the assessment that console is over for them, and even if they want to fight console to get back to the position they were in 15 years ago, it's actually probably going to take them 2 generations, not 1, if they want to fight that. So then the answer actually becomes, can they be the best in the PC space in terms of having a box that you just plug in, plays all your PC games? And can they get that experience good enough that the line between PC and console becomes so thin that it doesn't matter? That's how they then rival PlayStation again. And you look at the ROG Ally, right? That is a wonderful experience. It's really, really good. I really rate it until the moment that you are reminded once every 10 hours or so that it's a PC, and then the wheels fall off and it's miserable. So that's the problem they've got to fix, and I'll be curious to see what they do.
They need to get to the stage where a game goes on sale on Steam, because Steam games generally you get them cheaper on Steam than on closed console marketplaces sometimes. They need to get to a stage where you buy a game on Steam, you can load it on your new Xbox and it plays like a console game, and you don't know at any point. If they nail that, they've got it. If there's jumping through hoops and you're having to fiddle with dials and stuff like that, then
I still don't understand this assumption that I think you won't be able to buy other PC store games on the box though, because then surely Microsoft would want a cut of that. From a software perspective,
they've already said that. Well, they've insinuated that it'll work the same way the ROG Ally does, which is multiple. You've got an Xbox core, but it can then boot other cores.
But why would you ever buy a game from them at that point, though?
Because they add the extra gimmicks like Play Anywhere, and they add it's on Game Pass and all this kind of stuff. If you don't want it on Game Pass, you want to own it, go to Steam instead.
That's what I'm saying though. Surely they still want to sell games at some point, and if they're not going to actually, if the option is buy it from Xbox or buy it from Steam, from a pure purchasing perspective, why would you ever buy it from Microsoft?
Depends on what the goal is, right? Because it comes back to what I said about the Trojan horse thing of Xbox's original goal, selling games was a bonus. They wanted to have a box in your living room under your telly. That was their primary goal. And, that's the question is how much is getting Copilot under your TV worth to Microsoft? That's the question, I think. And then they've got to sell that without saying the word Copilot because no one actually wants it.
Anyway, do you know the Macarena is actually a song about Copilot, Scullion? Did you know that? It's got that lyric where it goes AI. Anyway, the Super Mario Galaxy movie is out now. Donaldson, do you need to leave in 2 minutes, or have you got wiggle?
I'm alright. I've got a bit of wiggle room. It's only a pub crawl.
Oh, it's only a pub crawl. We're going on a pub crawl through outer space. The Super Mario Galaxy movie is in cinemas now, stinking out the gaff. I have not seen it in a cinema, but I've watched most of it on TikTok. My views looks fine. I will begin with surprise. And then
you know how usually people joke there. They say as it was meant to be viewed, but that's probably as it was meant to be viewed.
Yeah. I will start with surprise Nintendo lover, given his recent track record. Andy Robinson, what did you think of the Mario film? No spoilers, by the way.
I heard you were indifferent about
wet children. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was trending on X. Because at the time there was a moment when I had the most negative review.
About 5 minutes.
I think all the reviews say the same thing, pretty much, and have different numbers on them.
Yeah,
this is the core of the debate about whether you should score reviews or not. I certainly think films have even less value having numbered scores on them than games, in my opinion. It is what it is. It's a stupidly fast-paced, sugar rush roller coaster fan service thing. It's it's very visually very beautiful. I wish it slowed down a little bit more to let the characters breathe, because there are some moments where they threaten to do that, and it threatens to be interesting, but they never kind of allow it to happen. But I enjoyed it. It is what it is. I think Shigeru Miyamoto is obviously like heavily involved in this, and he's an engineer. And the reason I love his games is that he views them as toys, and they're not. He's never kind of been bothered about story or anything like that in past. That he's not making, that sort of thing. He's making an interactive toy essentially, and that's why I love his games. But I don't think that works in film. I don't think you can ignore the cinematic language and say, well, we're making this thing. However, there is the argument that Chris Strings made to us privately, and he's right, is that, the first movie made like over $1 billion. This one looks like it's comfortably going to make over $1 billion. My kids absolutely loved it. Chris said his kids absolutely loved it.
Yeah, he loved it.
And his argument was kind of like, well, this is for the generation, the TikTok generation, right? That as soon as you're going to slow down and Rosalina and Peach are going to have a conversation for too long, you've tuned them out. This is what they want. And certainly you see that in the difference between the audience score and the critic score for these movies.
Yeah. The kids want Splatoon, not Platoon. That's how I
yeah.
Chris, you told me that you thought it was worse than the first one. So where does that put that on the Schindler's List scale?
That's not quite what I said. I'd say I think the first one started better because you've got an origin story to tell there. Like for new, I think parents taking their kids to the film who the parents don't care about Mario would have enjoyed the first one more, because at least there was a story there. Threadbare as it was, at least it was like, here's a plumber, he's in Brooklyn, he ends up in this magical world and now he has to become the hero, blah, blah, blah. Underdog becomes the big man, the usual story. The second one assumes all previous knowledge of Mario and Mario games and everything. It just throws you into it, and it's just like, it starts kind of disjointed, and it's like, oh, here's just a bunch of different random scattered stories all happening at the same time. And so I think it gets better at the end. I think the second half of Galaxy is better than the second half of the first film. But I think it takes longer to get there. It takes longer to get there. It takes a while. So put them both together and you've got a really cool double bill. I think on their own, I can understand the reviews, the really negative reviews for two, but if they're coming from people who come into it with no Mario knowledge whatsoever, because they can at least figure it out from the first film. The second film, they're completely lost and don't have any idea what the hell's going on. But I really enjoyed it. It's just set piece. Yeah. I think, again, without going into spoiler territory, it gives old dicks like us the nods and the references, and like, here's this character, bye-bye. Here's this character, bye-bye. And like, so that's
so it's modern Star Wars movie. It's modern Star Wars. It's pretty much instead of a Smash Brothers movie, this is the alternative that we're getting. Where like Marth's not in it, but like if Marth was to appear, he would be in the background, or he would turn up and go, "Need a sword? I'm Marth, by the way." And someone would say, "No, you're all right, bye," and leave it. That's how they would handle it. So there are some like characters from Nintendo's past that appear in a kind of 2-second hello and then bye-bye, and that's lets me go, ha ha ha, kids none the wiser, and they just keep going on with it. Fox is obviously the exception because they're planning this Star Fox game, so they make more of a deal of him to say, hey kids, here's the one you should care about. Don't worry about all these other ones that just appear. This is the one you should care about.
He's a major character. In the game. Like, he's in more of the film than no spoilers to say. He's in more of the film than Rosalina is. And I will say, like, for a film that made me, on the whole, for the most part, feel very little, I did also almost cry when they played some Star Fox music, especially when they played.
I'm being very, very careful to avoid spoilers here, but there was a revelation made that I've always hoped would be made in one of the games, a connection that I'd hoped one of the games would at some point do it, and they never have, and they made that, and I shed one tear when that was
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. But although I angered a lot of people online who maybe had been hoping for a different relationship between those two characters, but like I was like, yes, finally, that was exactly. Actually, I texted Andy right after. I was like, yes.
I did think about online people, you know, I mean, the thing is, I enjoyed it well enough. My kid enjoyed it a lot more than I did, which is the point, right? I think the thing is, it's all on an axis, right? It's like the Sonic films are hugely Marvel coded. They are very similar to Marvel in the way they're structured and stuff. And so they are popcorn flicks. You can sort of switch your brain off. But just like the Marvel movies, the Sonic films are quite adept at doing emotional stuff quite quick. So when it plays the Sonic movie plays those beats about, you know, it's Team Sonic. They need the team. The three of them need each other, and they're not actually very useful on their own. And you know, it plays the beats with Shadow and stuff like that, and that hits well in the same way that, you know, Spider-Man disappearing in Stark's arms in Infinity War does, or, you know, Captain America, the Did You Know? Yes. Sonic can manage to reach that stuff. The Mario movies are more Minions coded, where it's just basically a bunch of skits that are connected by a very loose plot. And I completely understand the complaints of people who wish the Mario movies were perhaps more Toy Story, Frozen, Moana coded, but they're not. That's not what they're making.
The Minions would have canonically followed Hitler. Anyway, we've talked about...
Minions, by the way, there are Minions in this film of a sort.
Did they say banana?
No, they don't talk. They're robots, but there are little. There are now canonical minion adjacent creatures.
I've got to say, and this isn't really a spoiler because it's already been confirmed he was in the trailer and all that stuff. Rob the robot, I nearly leapt out my seat when I knew he was in it, but just how Rob's my guy.
Actually,
and there's a really nerdy, and I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a very nerdy joke involving Rob the robot that is the deepest kind of cut for Nintendo fans.
Yes, good.
And and like anyone who actually used that thing and actually had a Rob the robot and played Gyromite or Stack Up on the NES will get it as soon as they see it, and they'll go, "That is the deepest cut in the whole film." And like, I was absolutely buckled when it happened.
Fox's R-Wing on the G diffuser of the R-Wing, the blue bit, it just says Super FX. I was just like, oh. But one thing that can be said is,
this movie is exactly for you too.
Why'd they spoil so? Why'd they spoil so much though? That's the sad thing. Is that
that is so. I mean,
at the end,
as well.
Right?
Like I watched it at the press preview, so there were no reactions whatsoever. And actually, me and I was there with my partner, and she was really surprised when I showed her the reviews. Like, she doesn't kind of follow games or films or anything. She's like, really? But even then, I was like, that none of that surprised me. Like, there were none of it. It's such a shame that they did, and it wasn't just the Fox thing, which is probably because that casting, the casting, and some Polish casting note went out, right? Which is fine, but even then, it showed some naivety from them. I think, yeah, they did. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, just because, like, everyone knew that the other two Spider-Men were in the last Spider-Man movie, right? Everyone knew. But they didn't put them on a poster and go, "Here they are." Yeah. Like, you don't have to do that. It's just sad. Like tease it. Well, we've seen it. And it's still a big surprise, right?
Yeah, there's always that moment of doubt until you see it for yourself. Like, even like we did a story because one of the cinema chains accidentally wrote that Wario was in it in their synopsis, and he's not. Yeah. And it's like, so these things can seem certain until you actually.
That's clearly going to be the next.
It's like they put Wart, Birdo, and Mauser on the poster, right? You didn't need to do that. That would have been a cool surprise. Like, I mean, okay, I know you need to show some stuff, especially for a film that's going to needs to make $1 billion, right?
Yeah.
But even simple stuff like the Odyssey planet, right?
Yeah.
At the start, what's it called?
The Mexican one.
The Tostarino.
The Mexican one.
Actually, a poster.
Not called that.
Yeah.
But that would have been a really cool surprise.
Yeah.
It's one thing I wish they wouldn't do is I feel like they burn through too much. I mean, I suppose it doesn't matter really, but I'm quite surprised how much imagery they burn through. It's sort of like
it's super fast. It's like rocket paced. Right?
They have a section where there's Baby Mario and Baby Luigi, right? That's in the trailers also. And I sort of watched that 10-minute bit, and I was like, you probably could have not had this here. And that could have been a significant chunk of a future movie.
It could have been like a Yoshi's Island movie.
Yeah, I mean, I said it after I saw the movie, and everyone, kind of went mental that if you liked the first movie, you'll like this one probably,
Mm-hmm.
and if you didn't, you almost certainly will not. It's the same thing. I mean, I wrote it down as I was watching it. Like, nothing happens, and if you go in with that expectation, then you'll enjoy it more. It's just nothing happens in this movie. It's a load of kind of disconnected set pieces that are put together, but they're really fun.
Yeah,
They're really fun. They got a lot of heart. They're beautiful to look at. It's perhaps this is almost like a different genre because it's just clearly not interested in
film slop,
kind of like movie language.
Sometimes you want to go to the Louvre, and sometimes you want to go to Disneyland. That's basically what it boils down to. This is like the Disneyland of films, where it's just a bunch of wee rides that you go on, and you go, "Oh, that was good." Oh, look,
bunch of wee rides.
I don't think it's got as much. I don't think it's got as much integrity. I don't think it's got as much integrity as Disneyland. To be honest, it's more
Thorpe
like
Park, then.
Yeah, it's more like Universal or Legoland or CBeebies Land, whatever.
I will say one thing that I associate with Nintendo that it is really integral that I think is a shame is that their games, especially the Mario games, are known for being inventive and brave.
Yeah,
right?
and these are the most.
And these films betray, I think, the franchise in that front. That they're absolutely not.
One thing I will say to angry internet idiots is I've seen a lot of people in the wake of this film sort of going, well, that's it. Zelda's going to be shit. Miyamoto's going to prevent them from telling the story.
Well, you said it at the top of the podcast.
No, I said it'd be. I'm interested to see Zelda, but the thing is, you hire who you want to work on. The producers will hire people that shape the film, obviously, and Miyamoto and Nintendo are going to have a say. But for these movies, they hired guys who had worked on like Teen Titans and a bunch of the straight-to-video Batman cartoon movies and stuff like that, and the writer who wrote the second worst Lego movie. And for Zelda, they've got the guy who directed the Maze Runner trilogy. Admittedly, they had a writer on board who was the guy who wrote who worked on The Rise of Skywalker, but now they brought on the guy who wrote Maze Runner. They've got the guy who did the music for Maze Runner. The guy who did the music for Maze Runner. But the thing about those Maze Runner films, right, is they're not high cinema, but what they are is they are some of the best of that flood of young adult movies that came out in the wake of Harry Potter to try to capture that Potter magic, and they were some of the more successful ones. And to be honest, what is Zelda going to be if not that? Zelda's going to be something in that Harry Potter realm. And so they've hired people who made one of those movies with substance. And so hopefully the Zelda movie has a substance that Mario doesn't.
It's going to be like the substance. Now we're talking.
I'm more concerned about Zelda. I'm more worried about.
I mean, because it's
Bo Bragason's not going to let you down, Chris. Bo Bragason's got it nailed on when they play either Link or Zelda. I can't remember which.
Because it's live action. There is obviously infinitely more space for it to just look extremely stupid. But the set photos
those set photos looked like high quality cosplay photos,
but they always
you get cosplayers.
They always do.
So that's my worry. Is like just now. I think because we've seen so much Zelda cosplay over the years, I'm just kind of I'm almost numb to it. Even though it's the first ever Zelda movie, I'm already kind of over how it looks because we've seen it so many times, like and done on an amateur level. So
Chris, it's going to be an adaptation of Ocarina of Time. They're going to play like the Song of Storms, and you're going to cry. That's what's going to happen.
But this is a lead character who famously doesn't speak, and like if you get this wrong.
That was true for Mario. I actually do think, by the way, there's something about I found it fine in the first film, and I think it comes back to what you said about origin stories. And the fact that it was an origin, it felt like it worked a bit more. But it was in this movie where I was like, actually, Chris Pratt is not working for me as Mario. I don't know if he's phoning in more.
Mario just doesn't work. Mario just doesn't work in general in the second film.
Luigi's great, but
yeah, but like you say, Mario's just there because he has to be. Like this is the filmmakers wanting to make a Peach movie and wanting to make a Bowser movie.
Yeah.
And it's like we need to get Mario in there because he goes on the t-shirts.
Be very curious with the third one, right? Like, do you think they have Bowser? I mean, I'm sure Bowser will be in it, but do you think they have Bowser again as the main villain, or do they have a detour with Bowser at the start or whatever in that way, and then they make a Wario and Waluigi movie or something?
They've got to do that, haven't they? Yeah.
I think again, being very careful to avoid spoilers. I think they take the abysmal post-credits scene and used that as the kind of the lead character going into the third movie, and then two similar characters who played a big role in the second film then have to team up.
There are two post-credit scenes.
Kick. But I'm talking about the second. I'm quickly talking about the second.
Spoilers. So turn it off, like if you don't want to hear.
Yeah,
Give them a few seconds. They are both rubbish.
Stop talking. Everyone, stop talking. Listeners, thank you for listening to VGC the Video Game Podcast. Patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. Following right now, you have 5 seconds. They're going to talk about the post-credit scenes and all the spoilers from this pishy film. 5, 4, 3. I've done this the wrong way. 2, 1. Bye. Chris Scullion, the post-credit scene.
Well, no, let's talk about the first one first.
Right, go. On you go. Sorry.
What I will say is, when you're sitting in that cinema with a 4.5-year-old, that is a long time to make a 4.5-year-old look at a black screen with names.
I was like to see that. Wait.
To see that, I was like, "Is that honest?" She was quite excited when she saw it. She's like, "Oh, there's a yellow princess." I was like, "Yeah."
Like I should something. I should have known, because this Dick Robinson was.
Do you mean this Dick? Do you know how much I restrained myself?
He was all the way through and said, "Oh, you'll love the post credits. Stick around the post credits. See if possible. Can you maybe try and record yourself during the post credits?" I'm like, "Fuck, this must be."
As we've established, the Venn diagram of things that could be revealed in a Mario movie that excite Scullion is very small.
I thought he was doing it in good spirits. I was expecting him going.
Mate, it could have been like a Mario Brothers free box, and you would have gone, "Oh shit!"
No, I was expecting something. I thought Andy instructed me to record myself during the post credits, which I wasn't able to do because it was pitch black. That's how cinemas work. But I was expecting something that was going to bring me to tears. That's why I thought.
And it did, but not in the right way.
I thought he was sharing in my excitement rather than in my displeasure, and it turned out that at the end, Princess Daisy turns up, and I quietly whispered to myself, because the kid was sitting next to me, "Fuck off." The
thing is, right, like
famously, I hate that character.
It speaks to how creatively, it speaks to the creative process of this film, where they were like, here's a film where our entire marketing hook has been on there's a new princess, and their marketing hook for the third film is here's a third princess. Could they
it could have been literally anyone.
Could they have not done that exact scene, but it was Wario instead? Like, literally, I just... I don't get...
It could have been because it's the wee stupid monkey thing running with stolen goods, and he gets hit with Daisy's umbrella and Daisy goes yoink. He could have been running, and the goods could have been yanked up with a fishing pole, and Lakitu could have been there saying, "All right, kids, I'm going to be in the next film, by the way." And no one gives a shit about Lakitu, but I would have been delighted. It could have been a fucking charging Chuck from Super Mario World, and it would have been...
They were in the first film, weren't they? I feel like.
But even so, Daisy is objectively the worst character in Super Mario
What they're going to do is they are going to do what they couldn't do with Rosalina, and do a load of very subtle, suitable for a child's movie queer baiting with those two in the third film. You know that's where they're going. But also... the first post-credits scene I was really excited by, because I was like...
Yeah, because that teases a Star Fox.
Because I was like, oh, Fox I'm going home and going off to war. But I was like, yeah, he's going to get the boys. But, you know,
he's off to the Gulf.
He's off to the Strait of Hormuz.
I'd sort it out in no time.
He's like, I'm going.
off to the Strait, and then they got no jet fuel.
Oh no! It's too expensive to refuel the army. To be fair, that is the story of Star Fox. That's how Star Fox Adventure starts, isn't it? They've got no. It's as
if I know the second movie was just full of derivative things from all the games. It's as if they went to see Sonic 3 and saw the Amy Rose bit at the end and said, "Let's just do that, but put Daisy in it." But people care about Amy Rose.
But also, people do care about Daisy, right? But also, the thing about that Amy bit at the end of Sonic CD is it's full of so much... Okay, so what's in that scene? First thing is you've got Metal Sonic appears, and he's doing, for the grown-ups in the audience, he appears and he's doing the Terminator I've just time-travelled stance. You know, Arnie naked on one knee with the lightning around him. And
good
so anyone who's grown up...
Nice night for walk.
Anyone who's grown up recognises that and goes, oh, he's just time-travelled. Because of the cultural inference of that. And then you've got Metal Sonic, then you realise there's loads of them. That's exciting. And then Amy comes in and she's a badass. And when you look at it, Her hammer is like a techie hammer, so she's clearly from the future as well. There's loads in there to unpack and talk about and think about in the 2-3 years while you wait for the next movie. What is in that scene, that Daisy scene, to think about?
I think they've gone too soon as well. Like, I mean, this was something I pondered about when I wrote my review, and I didn't really talk about it. So I didn't want to go too spoiler heavy anyway. I just want, we're not a movie website. I don't think it was the role of that. I just wanted to like share some general thoughts and not spoil it. But I did wonder a lot. I was internally debating a lot about whether there are too many characters in this second movie and whether that was an issue. Because I'd like to see. I mean, ultimately, I think if it's not a long film, I think they could have added 15, 20 minutes to that film and it would have solved a lot of the issues I had if they spent it, kind of developing characters. But I do think in the sense that you're saying is that comparing the Sonic movies, which I do think are better,
better films.
They've managed their cast a lot better, right? Yeah. It's like when you're on like movie 2 and you're teasing Bloody Daisy, like that's your big character, right? It's that they could have easily made this film the Yoshi one,
Yeah,
and then the next one could have been that. They have kind of like gone quite quickly. I mean, where's left for them to go now? I mean, probably Odyssey movie, especially they've set a precedent, right? Like the next one, it's called Mario Movie 3.
Because the sad thing is, if they're teasing Daisy, then you're talking the fourth film before Wario turns up. Because surely you tease Wario. If he's going to be the big.
Well, they would just go with all of
them. Three's going to be now that we're in spoiler territory. We know now that Peach and Rosalina are sisters. 3's going to be the two of them bonding sisterhood. Then a third one turns up, and they're going, "Who the fuck is she?"
I think Rosalina will barely be in the third one. I think the third one will be. They will travel to Saros Land or whatever it's called.
Saros.
It'll be an Odyssey. It'll be an Odyssey film, and as part of
Tangle up here for 2 minutes.
Jim Ryan turns up.
Hello, Mario.
It will be my prediction. Come back to me.
I hate him. Sorry.
Come back to me in 3 years or whatever. But my prediction is it will be the Super Mario Odyssey movie, and it will be they travel to a bunch of places, and they have they have their 20-minute intro, and then at the half-hour mark or whatever, the ship takes them to Saros Land or whatever it's called, Saros Land from Mario Land, and they meet Daisy, and somehow. Some way,
Jordan's head's
Wario
gone.
And Wario and Waluigi come in and are messing things up. I think
But Saros Land can't be any longer than the Minus World bit in this one, because like that was just enough fan service for the old folk that the kids didn't lose to. Because my kid didn't care about Wart or Mauser or like any of those, but it was short enough that section.
It won't matter where it's set, because the backbone of that film will be Matt Berry and someone else, Stephen Merchant or someone, doing slapstick as Wario and Waluigi. Matt Berry and Stephen Merchant would be a good.
Yeah,
that was just off the dome, and that was I'm hearing
that's
it
perfect.
Going like that's yeah.
I do think there's a direction of travel, isn't it? That they're setting up. That I mean, I've seen the movie twice now, and that was kind of one of the biggest takeaways the second time, is that they're kind of setting up Bowser to be. Bowser's clearly the best character in both movies, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was very clear from the first. I mean, remember us saying, Chris, there's no chance that Bowser's not the big character in this. Yeah. And I'm thinking it even more now that he needs to be like literally someone who's always there. He needs to be to team up with them.
How did they bring him back?
I'm sorry, Matt Berry.
He's just a skeleton head now.
Matt Berry and Richard Ayoade.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, Richard Ayoade's got the names.
Aren't they literally in a Sonic movie?
Richard Ayoade's in Sonic 4. They announced that. We don't know if he's probably going to be a person though. Because
isn't Matt Berry in it, or I made that up?
Matt Berry's also in Sonic 4, I think.
Yeah, that's what I said. Are they both in Sonic?
Hang on, let's find out. But
you're just repeating the Sonic cast. Yeah. Trying to be clever.
But they
should put Amy Rose
in.
They
should put Sonic in.
Well, actually, the irony is the person that I would have picked to voice Daisy is the person they've cast as Amy Rose. Just because Daisy's meant to be the spunky one, isn't she? She's meant to be like a little bit tomboyish and a little bit less delicate than the other two. And Kristen Bell is so good at that.
What's her past? How that was in Wreck-It Ralph. Sarah Silverman.
Judi Dench. No, Sarah Silverman. She's absolute.
I don't want it, but that's how they'll do it. I don't want it. Like, she's just as annoying, but like that annoying voice. That's the voice you need. Fran Drescher if you want to do Daisy's voice properly. You know, hello. You need like a really annoying voice because she's the most annoying character.
I do think it's fair to say, other than. Actually, to be fair, what's his name? Benny something, the guy who plays Bowser Jr.
Benny Hill.
He was all right.
He's really good.
But other than Bowser and Bowser Jr. and Luigi, I think the voice cast of this film is very like I don't think Pratt is particularly good as Mario now.
It's serviceable.
It's serviceable, but I think he's worse in this film than he was in the first one. And I think Anya Taylor-Joy is like quite generic as Peach. It's certainly there's certainly not anything. Again, I hate to keep comparing them, but I do think they nailed it on with those Sonic casts, really.
But it goes back to Andy's point about how they flip with the idea of like getting really deep and then never do it. Like when Peach and Rosalina reunite,
yes,
it's like, oh, we're sisters. Anyway, come on, like this is like, you just take a beat and like have a bit of emotion, and then that's when the voice cast can actually act.
Well, how weird is it
just
that
reading the
Yoshi's
lines out?
just their best mate straight away in the first 5 minutes of the film?
In fact, even Toad points it out. He's like, well, so we're just fucking doing this now. And they're like, aye.
Just go on with it. Just go. It's a film.
I enjoyed it.
It's a film I recommend you watch with Chinese subtitles and with like some kinetic sand underneath. That'll really sink in the plot beats, because that's how I watched it and it was class. Shout out to modern piracy, because people are getting really good at holding phones still.
It's amazing. People just go in wearing meta glasses or whatever, I imagine. But like I have to say, you talk about Chinese subtitles, the best way to watch a pirated film, as anyone of a certain age knows, is the old version of Star Wars Episode 3, where for a while it was the only version that was available pirated, which was a version that had Chinese subtitles, but then someone had translated those Chinese subtitles back to English because they were so bad.
Nice.
And it became famous and memed because like when Darth Vader does his big no at the end, the subtitle was, "This is where this comes from, do not want." and every reference to Jedi had been translated into Presbyterian Church. So studios going, we will wipe out the Presbyterian Church, and so on and so forth. Right, it's great. It's a great, and someone later got a bunch of voice actors in, and they re-recorded all the dialogue of the film.
That's good.
Good. Highly recommend. It's called Backstroke of the West because that is what the subtitle. That is what Revenge of the Sith came out as after it had been through that.
Speaking of churches, happy Easter.
Happy Easter to all, and to all a good night. Thank you for listening to this bumper Good Friday edition of VGC the Video Game Podcast, where we talked more about a pishy film. We probably talked longer about the film than the film actually is, but if you're going to go and see it this weekend and you're still here, then
we spoke longer than Rosalina's in it.
Yeah, then good luck.
We should do some sort of sealed envelope predictions, where we record something and we all have our predictions, and then literally we sit on it until the film is
my one will be, this person's going to let me down.
Well, until next week, I'll let Alex's pub crawl's already come and gone, so he's just going to stay for another 3 hours worth of podcasts. We will all be back next week. Go to the website if you want some interesting stuff. I'm not too sure what will pique your fancy, but you should also go to patreon.com/video games chronicle. If this podcast hasn't been evidence that the media is in some serious turmoil, and I don't know what is. Until then, say goodbye, Alexander Donaldson.
We're in need of serious help.
Goodbye. Say goodbye, Andy.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, Chris.
Goodbye, Chris.
Have a lovely Easter weekend. Eat much chocolate, and we'll see you next time.